best days are behind them. Those may be the 6 most damaging words to your portfolio, and hardly a day goes by when they don't hinder you from making money. Especially when we're talking about the Magnificent Seven. So many people trade these great stocks rather than owning them. And then you get a day like today where the Dow inched up 49 points, S&P advanced 0.47%, the record high. Tech-heavy NASDAQ gained 0.94%, also to a record high. Days like today remind you just how lucrative it is to simply stick with fantastic stocks. Buy in homework. Stop trading, people. See, there are so many jumpy shareholders because lots of people truly do believe that the best days of all of the Magnificent Seven are behind them. Alphabet, Amazon, Apple, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Tesla. They think they missed the big moves that got these stocks to the heights that they've reached. They are either hanging on now for dear life, clinging, or they exited, failing to get back in, even though they said that they would.
Your best times are over. It's possible that those 6 words are the most detrimental to your portfolio. And there is scarcely a day that passes that they don't prevent you from earning money. Particularly when discussing the beautiful. Instead of holding these fantastic equities, a lot of individuals trade them. Then there are days like today when the Dow rose 49 points and reached a record high after rising 47%. The tech-heavy NASDAQ rose 0.94% to a record high as well. These kinds of days serve as a reminder of how profitable it is to simply remain with great stocks. Purchase at school. People, stop trading. You see, a lot of people genuinely think that the Magnificent Seven's finest days are over, which is why there are so many jittery stockholders. Microsoft, Nvidia, Tesla, Apple, Amazon, Meta, and Alphabet. They believe they missed the significant movements that propelled these equities to their current levels of rise. They are either clinging to me or hanging on for dear life, or they left me and didn't return despite their assurances. It's a strange verdict. After all, I was told that I was late and that the greatest days were behind them when we coined the phrase FANG 12 years ago, which at the time stood for Meta, Amazon, Netflix, and then Alphabet. The same thing happened when I included Apple with FANG a dozen years ago. Late. I was charged with that. Let me explain. The 7, in my opinion, still offer very attractive prices today, provided that management hasn't changed or the transfer has gone well. It's acceptable that some are better than others. And when you examine their past performance, you can discover that they have generally shown to be quite affordable in hindsight. Why do these businesses consistently surpass expectations? For almost 10 years of catcalls, why did their best moments occur in front of them rather than behind them? What if you had a warning from your desk before your retirement was erased? Your retirement account could be wiped out overnight if you don't purchase this package. Because there are only 100 pieces available. Order yours right away using the link below. For a moment, I wish to generalize. First of all, these businesses have enormous balance sheets that contain nearly all of the world's wealth. They are able to innovate as a result. It enables them to fight and defeat rivals. They are free to purchase any type of business. The government usually fails, even when it attempts to prosecute them. They have scale too. With more tentacles everywhere, they can keep growing. They are extremely difficult to defeat. Third, they are constantly innovating. Facebook begins as a desktop company with a stock that plummets after going public. But then it discovers how to use a cell phone for both Facebook and Instagram, and then it takes off. Naturally, it also purchases WhatsApp and Instagram. Using its balance sheet and its belief that billions of people desire to interact on Instagram, it transformed into a whole other business, and they were right. Just think about what is happening right now. After the Oracle news, there were many worries about whether the backlog was real, but they appear to have been answered to the extent that demand appears to be high and the situation is positive. Nvidia's chips, Google's Gemini, Amazon's web service, Microsoft's Azure, Meta's AI, and Tesla's autonomous driving all appear to be major benefactors of that demand, which suggests that they're likely performing so well that you can see the input, which is the demand. Gemini, the chatbot that many people believed would never succeed due to its Google connection, became the most downloaded iPhone app this past weekend. This past weekend, it overtook ChatGPT, which had been dominating the charts for a long time. It's simply amazing. Even when there is a constant stream of good news, Individuals are so fast to abandon these equities as though their greatest and most prosperous days are really over. This morning, take Nvidia. I got up and don't ask why, I was a little grumpy because yesterday's Eagles victory had happened. I turn on the computer and discover that a Chinese organization claims Nvidia broke antitrust laws. The stock has dropped 3 times, 4 times, and 5 times. I grow tired of hearing about subpar China news, so I take the typical Nvidia shareholder freakout. End quote. Join the club and quit worrying. It alludes to my personal own it. Don't trade it stance about Nvidia stock. But it doesn't end there. Even after learning that this inquiry relates to something related to Nvidia's acquisition of Technologies, a division that exposed Nvidia to high-performance network equipment than its core semiconductor business, the stock continues to decline. Even if the Chinese approved of it 5 years ago, it nevertheless produced chaos. What happens to stocks like this, though? The stock is in the black by 1150. If you had purchased at the low, you would have gained 6 points. But more importantly, even if the stock simply ended the day marginally lower, Nvidia might recover quickly. That's another indication of how cautious a lot of people are. The majority of Nvidia's shareholders are probably not the right people to own the company's stock in the first place, since they sell as soon as they learn of a Chinese antitrust inquiry, because they believe they have outlived their welcome. With Nvidia, it has always been that way. Because they don't even know the past, those who don't know what the company does always assume that there is no future. Look, I am aware of the Magnificent Seven's failures. Due to its recent anti-competitive actions, Alphabet appeared to be on the verge of going out of business. After Alphabet was already found guilty of being a monopoly, the judge in the remedies phase of the trial could have easily destroyed the business, which is why its shares dropped as low as 140 in April. However, it did not occur. If anything, it was quite evident that Google's solution was to largely continue doing what it was doing. After rising 4.5% today, the stock is currently trading at $251 and change. I sold the stock for my charitable trust, which was a mistake. My hand is open when I play. I thought the authorities would use hobnail boots to crush them. Because of what was happening in the federal court, I did believe that Alphabet's greatest days were over. I was completely mistaken. Do you understand? I was mistaken. No business has total control over its own fate. However, these 7 are as near as anyone has ever been, which is why I think they still have their finest days ahead of them. Yes, you may have missed a great deal of performance if you don't already own them. I will not dispute that. I won't suggest, however, that it's too late. I believe that too much positive is happening for these stocks to be relegated to the annals of history. They simply lack the will to quit. In the end, the Magnificent Seven are heroes. And unless something changes that makes them feel far less heroic, I won't advise you to sell heroes. But that hasn't occurred. Their management is still excellent. They still have an abundance of money, and they are so big that nobody can stop them. What's not to enjoy that Nvidia has recently encountered in China? For once, did Jensen make a mistake? It's an intriguing circumstance. The Chinese, in my opinion, are attempting to demonstrate that they do not wish to be dependent on the United States over their availability to Nvidia chips. They want to demonstrate that they will not be intimidated and that neither Donald Trump nor Jensen Huang will decide which Nvidia processors are allowed to be sold in China. Of course, China is also working to establish its own businesses, such as Cambricon and SMIC, in order to compete with corporations like Nvidia. That's rather intriguing then. In the end, I believe it's a significant market for Nvidia. Those chips are in demand in China. A deal needs to be made. It's a continuous story. The most recent information we've seen this week, in my opinion, is only a portion of the back and forth on the trade agreement this year. Therefore, I wouldn't give up on Nvidia just yet. China, as always, wants to demonstrate that it will not be bullied. But I believe there will still be a market for its chips there. Really, the TikTok agreement is no different. They want to demonstrate that they have some power and influence. Music, welcome to Fast Money once more. Regarding many significant tech investments in the UK, we have a news alert. Details are in Steve Kovac's possession. Steve, Melissa, hello? Yes, in anticipate.